So the point is not to divide life into compartments of labor and leisure, of drudgery and delight. The invitation is subtler, to meet each act, whether sweeping the floor, sending an email, or gazing at the night sky as play. Play not in the sense of triviality, but in the sense of wholeness, of total engagement, of being fully alive in the moment. And yet, most of us wander about with a suspicion gnawing inside that something is fundamentally wrong with us. We think we should be less distracted, more disciplined, kinder, more spiritual, less angry, more enlightened, always striving toward an imagined version of ourselves waiting just around the bend. And so we chase shadows of perfection, endlessly comparing ourselves to ideals that are not real. But here is the scandalous truth. There is nothing wrong with you, not a little less wrong, not slightly broken, nothing wrong at all. This very breath, this ardent sacred pulse of being, is already whole. Not polished or morally perfect, but perfect the way lightning arcs across the sky, or the way the wind bends a tree into strange and beautiful shapes. You are not apart from the world, peering at it through glass. You are the world. Your laughter, your sorrow, the rapid flares of thought, the quiet drifts of memory, all of it belongs to the same current that moves rivers, births, stars, and pulls galaxies into their spiral arms. You belong here without needing to prove or justify your place. And yet, modern life whispers the opposite. Consumer culture sells us the story that we are incomplete, that happiness awaits in the next purchase, the next upgrade, the next self-improvement hack. Relationships fracture under this weight. Partners, friends, even families look to one another not simply as companions, but as mirrors that might confirm we are enough. In chasing this external approval, we forget that enoughness is the root of our being, not the prize at the end of striving. Think of how a flame dances. Its beauty lies in its shapelessness, in its refusal to be fixed or grasped. So too with you. You are not a static noun, but a verb, an unfolding, shimmering, continuous movement of life. To call yourself inadequate is as absurd as scolding a wave for breaking too soon or accusing the wind of blowing the wrong way. And here lies a secret. The same forces that move oceans and stars are moving through you. The human body, this flicker of consciousness, is the universe expressing itself in one exquisite and unrepeatable pattern. No one else will ever have your rhythm of speech, your particular silences, your peculiar laughter. It is not an accident. It is design in the deepest sense. But society trains us otherwise. From childhood we are told to behave, to improve, to strive endlessly toward becoming someone else, someone acceptable, successful, admired. And in this we inherit the great illusion that life is a ladder to climb rather than a dance already happening, that you must become worthy of existence, rather than see that your being itself is already the worth. So pause, step outside the rush of becoming. Notice, without fixing, the aliveness of your own breath. That presence, raw and unpolished, is already the miracle. You are not a problem to solve. You are an event of the cosmos, just as natural and inevitable as starlight. And the moment you recognize this, even briefly, something loosens, something breathes, and you begin to remember that there was never anything wrong with you at all. One of the most extraordinary realizations, and it is not mystical, not religious, but purely factual, is that you did not come into this world. You came out of it, the way an apple tree apples, the way the universe peoples. You are not an alien stumbling through a foreign land. You are this place, its eyes, its ears, its heartbeat, its wonder about itself. Yet we are taught otherwise. We are taught to feel isolated, like tiny egos encased in skin, staring out at a world that is separate, a world of objects and others. But this is a trick of perception, a sleight of hand performed by language. There is no absolute line where you end and the world begins. You are continuous with it, as inseparable as a wave is from the ocean. Consider fire. Does a flame have a fixed boundary, a solid form? No. It is process, motion, a shimmering dance. And so are you. You are not a thing but a happening, not a noun but a verb. You are not static. You are fluid, a rhythm of consciousness flowing through time. From the beginning, you were not born as a mistake. You were not placed here to be tested, corrected, or hammered into some ideal mold. You were born as the universe expressing itself through a peculiar and delightful pattern, your pattern. There is no other rhythm like yours. The cadence of your laughter, the silence in your pauses, the way you walk, the way you dream, none of it is random. It is the unfolding of life in one of its infinite and irreproducible shapes. But here is the confusion. From childhood, we are urged to override this naturalness. We are taught to conform, to improve, to achieve, to constantly prove our value. And with this pressure, we begin to believe the greatest lie of all, that we are not enough, that we must become. But tell me, have you ever seen a flower strain to bloom? Have you seen a tree hurrying to grow? They do not strive, they unfold. They are themselves by being themselves. So it is with you. You too are nature unfolding. You too are the universe in motion. You are not a problem to be solved, not a puzzle to be completed, not a machine waiting for repair. You are an event of the cosmos, as marvelous as the stars, and as inevitable as sunrise. And yet, our modern world intensifies the illusion. In the age of constant comparison, we scroll through curated images of others' lives, believing we should be more beautiful, more successful, more enlightened. We consume endlessly clothes, gadgets, information, hoping to fill an imagined emptiness. But consumerism thrives on your doubt. It survives by whispering, "You are not yet whole, but perhaps this product will fix you." What is overlooked is that wholeness is already here. True freedom is not found in acquiring, but in remembering. And this remembering is not abstract, it is practical. In a time when the planet itself trembles under the weight of overconsumption, awakening to the truth of our enoughness is not just personal liberation, but a global necessity. To see yourself as nature is to realize your kinship with rivers, with forests, with the fragile climate we are unraveling. In this recognition lies a new ethic: to live lightly, playfully, compassionately, without the need to endlessly consume what we already are. Look again, not merely with your eyes, but with your being. Notice that what you seek, worth, belonging, freedom, was never outside of you. It is woven into the very fact that you exist at all. Perhaps then you will see that the miracle you chase was always the one breathing your breath, looking through your eyes, and moving through your hands. I know when someone says, "There's nothing wrong with you," the mind resists, it objects, it whispers. But what about my failures, my guilt, my shame, my habits? And yet, even these are part of the play. From the start, we were handed a story, that life is a test, that we must prove ourselves worthy to God, to society, to parents, to ourselves. And so we became actors on a stage of endless self-improvement, rehearsing for a perfection that never arrives. But what if this whole project rests on a false premise? What if the meaning of life is not to arrive at some exalted destination, but simply to be alive? Plain, obvious, simple, and yet overlooked. For everywhere people rush about in panic, as if their existence required constant justification, as if life were some exam where the stakes are eternal. Try this, close your eyes even for a few moments, and feel the sensation of being the aliveness before thought, before judgment, before the critic speaks. That presence is you. Not the story, not the role, not the to-do list, just the raw immediacy of existence. And tell me, what could possibly be wrong with that? Clouds drift without needing to align neatly. Trees grow crooked without shame. No wave is scolded for breaking too soon. They are not measured against some cosmic scoreboard. Yet, human beings, strangely, believe we are the exception. We believe we must justify our right to exist. This belief is the root of suffering. We mistake imperfection for inadequacy. But your imperfections are not mistakes. They are textures, patterns, the grain of your particular music. You do not need to earn life. You are life, already expressing itself in human form. Your attempts to become spiritual, your efforts to improve yourself, these two, are part of the perfection, like the ocean trying to become wet or the sunbeam trying to shine. And here is where the modern crisis reveals itself. We live in an age of relentless performance, social media profiles polished like advertisements, productivity measured in hours and clicks, even our spirituality packaged into 10-step plans for enlightenment. Authenticity itself has become a product to chase. But the paradox is clear. The more we try to be authentic, the less authentic we become. Trying to be spontaneous is like trying to fall asleep on purpose. The very effort obstructs the happening. We chase our shadows, asking, am I healed yet? Am I doing it right? Am I enough now? But the one asking these questions is precisely the illusion that does not need to exist. When you see this, not as a theory but as a direct experience, you may laugh, for it is all cosmic theater, the ego endlessly polishing itself, while the deeper truth never required polishing at all. Freedom begins when you stop pretending, not when you achieve some ideal, but when you notice what remains when the effort ceases, the simple presence of breath, silence, aliveness. Authenticity is not something you strive for, it is what is left when you stop striving. And in a fragmented world where relationships break under pressure, where climate collapse and consumer chaos tug at our collective heart, the invitation is radical, to live not from performance, but from presence. For presence needs no justification. Presence does not consume beyond necessity. Presence connects rather than divides. To rest in presence is not apathy, it is not withdrawal. It is to participate in life as a dance rather than as a contest. And when you discover this rhythm, when you realize you are being lived by life itself, the whole world shifts from something to conquer into something to join. Then the play truly begins. If we look a little deeper, we find something peculiar. The image you carry of yourself was not created by you. It was handed down, built layer upon layer out of glances, words, judgments, and expectations. Parents, teachers, religions, cultures, all contributed strokes to this portrait. And so, without realizing it, you became a collage of borrowed ideas, a patchwork personality stitched together from other people's reflections. And one day, perhaps in your 20s, perhaps much later, you begin to feel tired, not just physically but existentially, as if you've been wearing clothes that do not belong to you for so long that you've forgotten the feel of your own skin. This fatigue is the beginning of awakening. It is the quiet rebellion, the whisper that the one you have been performing is not the one who is truly alive inside. The most dangerous mistake is to believe in the mask. The role may be useful, the good student, the strong man, the responsible adult, but it is not you. You are the one playing the role, not the mask itself. Yet society, with all its pressures, convinces us to confuse the costume with the actor. We forget that we are also storms, poems, mysteries. We become the role so thoroughly that when someone says, be yourself, what they really mean is, be the version of yourself we approve of. That is not freedom. That is still theater. True freedom is seeing through the performance, not smashing it with rebellion, but recognizing its nature. Then you can wear it lightly, playfully, like a child trying on masks. The real you needs no validation, no applause. The real you is the silent awareness, the living breath behind the costume, untouched by shame, untouched by failure. That one was never broken, never required fixing. It only needed remembering. And yet, most people fear this recognition, because if the mask falls away, what remains? Silence, the space in which all thoughts come and go, the stillness behind the noise. Awakening, you see, is not about acquiring anything. It is not about gathering spiritual achievements or polishing your personality into some radiant gem. It is about subtraction, about unlearning, like muddy water clearing when the stirring stops. But silence terrifies us. In silence, the ego cannot speak. Without noise, it begins to vanish. And yet it is in this vanishing that your real nature appears not through striving, but through surrender. The true self is not discovered by thinking more, but by thinking less. By looking inward, not with criticism, but with wonder. And when you taste it, even for a moment, you feel it. A quiet hum in the chest, a vast spaciousness where the compulsive need to become dissolves. What remains is pure presence, unconditional, unfinished, unpolished, just alive. This recognition is not just personal, it is urgently collective. For the fragmentation we experience within ourselves mirrors the fragmentation of the world outside. Nations fight over identities, economies devour the earth in pursuit of endless growth, relationships splinter under the weight of unrealistic expectations. We are all caught in masks, nations as much as individuals, pretending to be more than or other than what we are. But what would happen if we lived from silence rather than striving? If we recognized ourselves as the sky rather than the passing clouds? We would not need to clutch so tightly at possessions, at identities, at performances. We could live more lightly, more gently, in rhythm with the earth, rather than in conquest over it. You do not need to be better. You need only to be real. And the real is already here, beneath the noise, beneath the story, waiting like still water once the stirring stops. So then, how does one live like this without all the grasping, the fixing, the polishing? Look to the sky. The sky does not cling to the clouds, nor chase the sun, nor argue with the storm. It simply allows them to pass. And you too can live like that, no longer bound by the compulsion to edit yourself, no longer enslaved to the demand to always be better. Because when you see that you are the sky and not the weather, everything changes. The storms still come, but you no longer mistake them for your essence. Fear, shame, ambition, they move through you, but they are not you. What you are is vastness itself, the openness in which all things arise and dissolve. And suddenly, life softens. You begin to trust its rhythm, not because you have solved its riddles, but because you no longer believe you must. You feel the quiet timing of things, a rhythm that does not belong to the clock but to the heart. You stop forcing and start flowing, and in that flow, wonder returns. More play, less proving. More se rendre, less control. Trees do not strive to be trees, they are trees. Waves do not practice crashing, they simply crash. The bird does not sing to prove its worth, it sings because song is its nature, and so it is with you. You are not here to justify existence, nor to sculpt yourself into perfection, but to let life happen through you. Effortless action, as the Taoists called it, wu wei. Not laziness, not passivity, but the profound art of moving with the current instead of against it. And so we return, full circle, to that simple, radical truth. There is nothing wrong with you, not as a comforting cliche, but as a liberation. You were never broken. You were never separate. You are not some failed draft of existence waiting for revision. You are this, an unfolding mystery, a ripple in eternity, a song in the great silence. If you can see yourself, not as an object to be judged, not as a project to be fixed, but as a phenomenon of nature like fire, like clouds, like galaxies, then you will see you were never too much, never not enough. You were whole from the beginning, and you are whole now. The task is not to become, but to remember, to drop the mask for a moment, to breathe deeply, to notice that you are already home, not in society's approval, not in the endless chase for meaning, but here in this presence. And in that remembering you may also glimpse something larger. That awakening is not only personal freedom, but also a response to the world's suffering. For when we stop consuming endlessly to fill a false emptiness, we consume less from the earth. When we stop demanding perfection from others, our relationships soften. When we remember our wholeness, we extend that wholeness to all being. This is the paradox. By realizing there is nothing wrong with you, you also begin to see there is nothing fundamentally wrong with life. Pain, yes. Struggle, yes. But not wrongness. Only unfolding, only process, only dance. And so the invitation is simple. Let yourself be lived. Let life dance through you without resistance, without demand. For you are just like that unfinished, imperfect, mysterious, radiant. And that, dear one, is more than enough.